Welcome back to Change. I'm Megan Galloway and I'm your host, and I am so happy that you are here with us today. Change is the podcast where we talk all about going through big changes in life and how that influences us both in life and at work. And today my guest is someone that I have admired for many years now. I saw Gary Vaynerchuk speak on stage when I was getting my MBA in 2016 maybe in Denver, Colorado. And I remember he had just hired you right around that time and was talking about the new chief heart officer that he had brought on and was talking about Claude. And I remember even that many years ago, I thought, it sounds like somebody that I would get along with and that I just would admire already and can't wait to meet. So I'm so grateful to have Claude Silver here with me today. She is the chief heart officer of VaynerX. She's also a mom of 2 beautiful kids. She's an author. Her book has just come out, which is super exciting. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that too. And she's also a speaker, just did her first TEDx. And I'm so grateful to have your wisdom here today, Claude.
Thank you for having me.
With me. Yeah. Okay, so I love to start every single podcast of Changed with the same question, which is, if you could pick one moment in your life that's changed you the most as a human, what would that moment be?
I was in a very emotionally and physically abusive relationship with a girlfriend. We owned a company together. We lived together. And I became a shell of myself, really, literally a shell of myself. And, with all the shame and everything that goes along with that of knowing that I had allowed this to happen. That's a whole other story, but I knew I needed to get out, and I knew I needed help. I didn't know that I was a codependent. I didn't know that. That's why sometimes people stay in those relationships, thinking that I could help, that I could be the one, that I could be the change. Meanwhile, suffering. And so I found a new therapist in San Francisco, and she said to me after I saw her for the first session, she said, I will only see you if you commit to go to Codependence Anonymous 4 days a week. And I was desperate, and I went. And I remember, didn't even know what that was, right? I mean, I read Codependent No More and some of those books, but I remember walking in, I was in a church, and those meetings did change my life. So Patricia changed my life, and admitting that I was powerless over others changed my life, and that I really needed to have a very good look inside my soul and make some fundamental changes in me. And I went for 6 years. I ended up, chairing that meeting and just getting so much out of it. What I got out of it really is empathy. I think when people ask me, where did you find your empathy? Sure, I can say my parents, my Nana. But it's looking in the mirror when you look at another person and seeing their pain, and also understanding that, we're not so different after all. We have different lived experiences. But so the great thing is I got out of that relationship. I've never looked back, and my life changed. I began to understand what boundaries were and why they were so necessary, why it was necessary for me to really kind of stay in my space, how to create space for another person and not take it on, which is something I do in my job every day. I wouldn't be able to do this job had I not had those experiences. And, while I have memories of the pain and all the shame and stuff, they're fleeting. What I have is the strength that those meetings gave me, the fact that she wouldn't see me unless I took care of myself. And I have been a much stronger, more confident, I would say even softer person, quite frankly, since those days back in San Francisco at 36 years old.
Wow. First of all, thank you so much for sharing. And second, What do you think it was about that one moment in time when Patricia, right, was her name, when Patricia said to you, I'm only seeing you if you do this thing? What was it in that moment that made you think like, yes, I am ready for this change?
Oh, Megan, I was desperate.
Yeah.
I was desperate. I was a shell of myself. I had lost friends. My brother had come to visit us in a house that we had just purchased, and he said to me, "You're a beautiful house, white inside." He said, "Oh, you're in a white prison. Like, how lovely." And my brother and I are very close, and that's all he needed to say. But I was, I just felt like I was a puddle, you know? So I would have done anything healthy to do. And that was really it. It really sent me on this incredible adventure, I would say, of then going deeper into certain therapies, somatic therapy, which really helps you with PTSD, which I had, and I just needed to shed some skin. And I'm so grateful. I highly recommend those meetings to anyone. And I am a massive advocate for the removal of domestic violence in any shape or form. I know that, I don't know a lot of lesbians that talk about it. This is one of the first times I probably shared about it with here. But I don't have any shame about it anymore, which is really good because it was a real scarlet letter for me until it wasn't.
I think one of the things that you're talking about that I think so many people listening to this can relate to is that I think there are things in all of our lives where, and Brene Brown talks about this all the time, right? That we feel these points of shame. And a lot of times the things that we hold shame over, they control us for such a long time because we, going through life, we don't always have all the right answers. And like, what a beautiful gift you had of that relationship with your brother, that he felt open enough to be able to share with you and say, here's what I'm seeing, and I love you, and I want something more for you.
Yeah.
And that you were in a place where you decided to listen. Because sometimes we share those things with the people we love, and they don't listen, right?
Oh, I had been in that relationship for some time. It wasn't like a month. We had a business together, lived together, bank account together. So it took a lot of untangling to do. And that probably was one of the reasons I didn't do it, but I also didn't do it just out of fear, just out of absolute fear.
Fear holds so many of us back from the things that we really want in our life. Like we know we want something different, or that we want to make a change, or that change is necessary in a lot of instances. But I think that fear piece is a lot of what keeps us in the same place.
Yeah, it keeps us stuck.
Keeps us stuck. How do you get through that fear? Like even now, so it's been many years since this, right?
Yes.
And you've done a lot of work to get into the place where you're at now, which I commend you for, because I know it's work. You have to put your heart and soul into discovering who you want to become every day, right? Yeah. So how do you, when you feel those like bits of fear and you don't know what's next, what do you do? How do you get through that?
It's a great question, because I really want to be open and honest with everyone that I am human and I have fear and apprehension and anxiety just like the next person, even though I have a great job title and I love what I do. But I have fallen more times than I would like to admit, but I've gotten up and I've gotten through every bad day. That's the thing I will say. There's that saying that is, feel the fear and do it anyway. I would like to amend that a little bit, but I will say feel the fear, but don't become the fear. So feel the fear. It's a feeling. It's an emotion. It overtakes you, but don't become the emotion. I became the emotion, and I shrunk based on the person I was with that wanted me to shrink, and based on my own self-esteem and whatnot. As Susan David says in Emotional Agility, using emotions as signposts, as data. And the great thing when my brother told me that was data. That was data. when people had told me 3 years before, 2 years before, I didn't, yeah, but listen, I'm trapped. But when Caleb told me that, it's like, oh no, I'm not trapped. Actually, I have a safety net there. I have a family. I can get out of this. I do think when we let the emotion overtake us like a wave, it's, what it's like when you're in the undertow. It's very hard to get out. Very, very hard. So I think that's just kind of like a note to self and a note to me that I do feel my feelings, most of them, and I try to act on them now in this older age. I try to take care of it. And if it's anxiety about something in my job or my relationship or with a friend, I really do try to voice it. That's what I'll say. It's not that I try, I do. It might take me a little time because you got to get up the nerve and whatnot. But I'm very lucky that nothing has happened like that in my life since that time. And I can only express a lot of joy for the other things that have been big changes in my life and monumental, having children, starting here. But that was the one that shaped me.
Yeah. That's beautiful. And, I think I love that you brought Dr. Susan David into this, because Emotional Agility is like a game-changing book. If you've not read it, it's such a good read. One of the things, one of the tools in there that sticks with me as well is even just the simple shift from I am afraid to I am feeling fear.
That's right.
And making this shift from being your emotions.
Yeah.
Because then your emotions become you, right? You are no longer in control.
Yeah, I'm just a scared person.
Right. And when you notice, I am feeling fear. What is this fear trying to tell me right now?
Yeah.
And what is this anxiety trying to tell me? Because those emotions inherently aren't necessarily bad. They're keeping us safe, right? Yeah. And then having this ability to be able to then zoom out and look at them like data.
Yeah.
And say, how does this inform what I want to do next based on who I want to be as a person?
That's the key right there. Who do I want to be? And so I knew I didn't want to be that person. I knew that was not the way my life was supposed to go. And so I needed to get help. I needed to get support. And that's, I think, one of the beauties in life is that we have support systems. You can phone a friend, even when it's scary. You can reach out when you feel like you're being dragged under. A lot of us don't, because it's embarrassing, because it's shameful, because it's ugly. However, I can say now, years and years later, there's support everywhere. There's support everywhere. There's support from a stranger on the street. Sometimes you just need that smile. It's so true. And most of the time, I'm a recovering perfectionist, control enthusiast, and I have a really hard time asking for help myself, especially when it comes to things that I feel like I should have handled, or that it's something that is shameful like that, right? Or if it's something that I see as part of my identity, then it's I that is a hard thing to do. And I think asking for help, one of the things that's really helped me learn how to do that a little bit better is knowing how it feels when someone else asks me for help. Knowing what it feels like to be someone else's safe space or someone that they confide in. And when I think of it that way, I'm actually gifting people the ability to help me back. Yeah. Because that's how we form two-way relationships, right? Yeah. If you're always the helper, you're missing out on that availability to co-create support with each other, Yeah. And I also think there's this piece of abundance that we miss out on. Abundance of life, abundance of love, abundance of friendship, abundance of ... because we've shrunk, And gosh, I even writing this book and getting it out now, I'm asking for help left, right, and center because I don't know what to do. And there's only one of me, but that's why we have friends. That's why we have support systems. That's why we have coworkers or mentors or partners or dogs. Yes, or cats, or to cats. Be fair, yes. Cat person's fine too. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think there's so much in that. Okay, so you've been through this entire experience. It's been many years since this happened in your life. You've made big changes since then. Like you said, you've had a whole bunch of other changes that have happened. Yeah. You've had career changes. You've become a parent. You've
there's a whole bunch of things. You've written a book, you've given a TED Talk, like all amazing. How do you think now, looking back at this, like I'm sure in the moment it felt like you were in a never-ending pit of the unknown. Now, zooming out years later, how do you think this moment in your life has shaped how you treat situations today?
Depending on the situation, I have to say. I'm very attuned to someone that is in crisis. I'm very, very attuned to someone that is hurting and not sharing it. I'm very attuned to when someone shares with me they are an overachiever and having anxiety attacks all the time. What is that about? So I would say I'm just more attuned to human behavior and the human spirit. I mean, I've always been intuitive, but I don't think I could pinpoint it on a certain thing. That is the thing I'll say. I feel like I can read things and pick up on patterns a lot quicker. And if I look back in time, like, yeah, I could have picked up on patterns too, because they were all there. That's I think the biggest thing that is kind of like the sweet spot for me now. And really, when I'm with people at work or in life, but at work that are suffering through imposter syndrome, someone's choking you. That's a terrible feeling, to feel like a phony or that you're going to get found out. There's a lot of shame there. So I like working with people on their imposter syndrome. I like helping them find the evidence that is wrong. That's no lie up there.
It's just in their head.
It's just in their head. So what are we going to do to remove that and try to fill this with something that is very truthful and also energizes or lifts you in some way?
So to get into an example, because I think a lot of people listening to this probably have the same kind of a feeling sometimes, right? If someone is coming to you and they're saying, I feel like an imposter, like I don't know how I've gotten to where I'm at. I am in this job, but I don't know what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm an executive coach. I have these conversations all the time. So I'm very curious kind of how you approach this. What do you say to somebody when they're in that moment? It sounds like you're maybe rewriting their internal monologue. How does that go?
Yeah, so if someone admits it and knows, then we'll start there. If someone doesn't, then we'll do a little bit of digging to find out, kind of how they perceive themselves. I think that's the first thing. And then I really ask someone, like, what is that voice right now saying to you? Like right now. And if I'm with them, we'll write it down and I'll make sure, is that right? That you're dumb? That you are stupid? Whatever. I mean, pretty harsh, right? I certainly was harsh. I had harsh ones. And then on this whiteboard, usually, I'll do 2 columns. And one is, I'm dumb. And now I want you to tell me how that shows up. How are you dumb? And they can't. They actually can't. So you've been in this job for 3 years. So you are working on a Fortune 10 brand. So you are leading a team of creatives. Like, tell me, how are you dumb? I want to know. And so we have nothing in that column. Or I write something down, and then I'll exit. Okay, there's no evidence. So let's talk about what there is evidence of. Are you a different kind of thinker? Are you an observer and slower to act? Like, what are you? And so we'll play with different, call it mission statements or mantras. And it has to be something that lights them up. It has to be something where their eyes open. It can't be me saying, like, so are you a different kind of thinker? Because that's like, yeah. But I want someone to be like, that's it. That's actually who I am. We'll write that down, and then it's like, please write that in your wallet, write that on your laptop, write that in your mirror in your bathroom, write that everywhere you possibly can. And now for the next 2 weeks, when you are present and you hear that I am dumb, I want you to do your best to take out that piece of paper. Or call me, or text me. I'll be that lifeline. And that's a big deal. That's a big deal in the workplace. For everyone. It doesn't matter what level you are, but certainly the newer generations are struggling hardcore.
Yeah, I think no matter what role you're in, especially if you're achieving.
Yeah.
And you're trying new things and you're pushing, into the spaces of innovation or trying, creativity or doing new things, that voice is going to exist for everyone, regardless of your position or your role or how many years you've been doing it.
Yeah.
Because even look now, at Gen AI, everything has changed so rapidly and is going to continue. I mean, the rate of change is only getting faster every year, right?
Every day. What are you talking about every day?
Yeah, it's so true. So none of us are experts, really.
No. Actually, I really want to go on that because, we came out of COVID and everyone was like, well, what's the best practice, Claude? What's the best practice? I'm like, there is no best practice. We're just inventing a new life here. What is the best practice now of bringing AI into a company and dealing with burnout at the same time? I don't know. I'm just going to try a couple things and we'll see what sticks. Because the population has to tell me. I can't tell them, oh, this is the best practice. I have to see them reacting in a positive way, and then we can make it a ritual, a habit.
So I love hearing about your leadership approach, because one of the things I'm hearing from you to reflect back is not, I have all the answers and I'm going to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
It's, I'm going to listen to you, and together we're going to co-create
That's right.
our next best steps based on the information that we have, which a lot of times we don't even have all the information, right? All of us are just making our best guesses and placing our bets as to what we think might work the best. And it doesn't always work, right?
It doesn't always work, but the great thing about leadership, if you look at it with these lenses or your lenses, what I'm hearing is you don't have to have all the answers. In fact, I am not the smartest person in the room. By the way, the room is the smartest of all three of us here. We're all smart, but it's the accumulation. And what I try to do is just remove my judgment and my bias to the best of my ability, put my ego in the backseat. This is not a conversation about Claude's growth. This is about Ronald's growth. This is about, Bev's growth. And do my best to create a safe space for someone right here. Now, I say this right here because you already know I don't bring it in anymore.
Right.
And I'm very, very deliberate visually of a space here or on the Zoom.
So you visualize there being a separate space.
It's a cauldron. It's a cauldron.
It's physically
a cauldron. Sometimes it's a big paella bowl, but it's a cauldron most of the time, and things go in there, and it could be the ugliest of things. It could be, you are dumb, whatever person wants to put in there. Not for me. I might add, if that's where we're going in the conversation. And then, as I mentioned earlier, because I do have a wonderful window seat here to the Hudson, I visualize tossing it out. And that's how I empty. That's how I empty. People are like, how do you empty your cup? Well, I empty this cauldron before I go home every day.
Yeah, so that you can be whole to show up for your family.
And because it's the healthy thing for me to do.
Yeah.
Because we've already learned through history that I no longer, but I had a susceptibility to wanting to take care of you because I am a natural caretaker. But I have found other ways to care for you, not to take care of you, to care for you and to walk next to you if you'll have me, right? I just want to be a passenger with you. And I can commit to that.
As an eldest daughter, I feel like I needed to hear this conversation because I do think that there is this very stark difference from what you're saying of I want to care with you versus I'm taking care of you.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot when that is a demand that, whether or not consciously, subconsciously, through the media, whatever you feel is on you, as a woman especially, as a mom especially, as a working mom especially. There's a lot that's, hoisted over there, and you need to figure out how to do your best to, take the gift, but leave the rest. That's what I would say. Is there a gift in that? Are you really trying to tell me something that I need, I want? It's good. Everything else can, thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's just being present. And that takes a lot of practice to be present. Yeah, I want to continue to really find the joy. And I've always said that my mission is really to be of joyful service. I've always known my mission is to be of service, but I changed it to joyful about, before I took this job 11 and a half years ago, because that was important for me to remember the spark of joy. And that's what I want to bring. through whatever journey we go on, I still would like to end at some kind of joy.
So we talked a lot about big changes that have happened. When you think about, like, if someone is listening to this and they're going through, whether it's a similar type of a change or any type of big change in their life, and maybe they feel like that feeling that you felt, like that feeling of being fearful and out of control and standing, like I visualize like standing and you're looking up this mountain and you have no idea how tall the mountain even goes because it like goes past the clouds and you know you have to climb it, but you have no idea where the top is, what's on the other side, how you're going to get there, right? Someone is standing in that space. What is the advice that you would give to them?
The first piece will really be to try to identify what you feel. Is it fear? Is it apprehension? Is it anxiety? It's all the same, right? But I would say why I say that is to kind of get present, which is hard when you're in that space. You're just like, but maybe just to be able to say to yourself, admit to yourself that you're fearful. And then I would absolutely reach out to someone that you can trust, that will not shame you and will not judge you. Whether or not they can climb the mountain with you or they got the ropes to give you, that's up to you all, but you don't have to go alone. And this is the biggest thing, one of the biggest things I learned in those meetings. No one needs to suffer in silence. That's the dealio. Nothing, no one needs to. That is a crime. That is a crime. And whether or not that's imposed on us and someone takes away your cell phone or all of these terrible things that happen, or you just feel so much shame that you cannot get out of your way, no one needs to suffer in silence. And I tell that to everyone in this building. Everyone that is from 23 on up. Like, if that's something you're feeling, if you feel unheard, if you feel this, if you feel like you got a terrible review, whatever, you don't have to keep that inside. Talk to me, but then I'm going to encourage you to have that dialogue with manager or whomever.
How do you think that's changed the culture here at VaynerX?
We're a friendly culture. You can walk in the door and you feel the energy here. You feel like we're going someplace. I think that's very much Gary, the entrepreneur spirit. Like, it's tomorrow, yesterday was gone. I don't know what's happening tomorrow, so I'm here. And then we'll get there and they'll get there. So I think that's the first thing. But I do think, there's this video that Gary put out, I don't know, a month ago or so about the role, the chief heart officer role. And in it, he says, Claude Silver sets the emotional framework for VaynerX. And it's funny, I think I am the emotional barometer. A little bit different, which makes sense that Gary and I would say that because I'm definitely more of the emotive. He's the visionary up here. He's like, yes, the framework. Okay, maybe, but I'm definitely the one that's like, oh no, I can tell you exactly how these 4 people feel right now on the floor because I've talked to them. Yeah, so I feel as though there's been some kind of, I'm going to say liberation, but I would say opening. And Gen X has asked for that opening, though. That's the thing. We had to meet them. Instead of entitled, we don't want to coddle or create more entitlement, but we have to meet them. So when they're saying, I'm leaving at 3 to go to therapy, okay, got it. I mean, I never would have said that as a Gen Xer. You would never catch me saying I'm going to therapy or a dentist appointment at 3. But there's an acceptance now. They're here. They're here. They're going to change the world. Gen Alpha, Gen X, Gen Zs, and we need to meet them. I think that's also the big thing about being with people all the time is I don't expect anyone to come to me. My job is to go to them. If I hear something's going on or just check in on people, my job is to go to them because I work for them. I work with them,
Or like one of the things we said, I walked into your office and noticed there's no desk in your office.
Yeah.
Why is that?
There's no desk. I just never wanted a separation between me and whomever I was talking to. Anyone, I can't have the cauldron if I can't put a cauldron there. But no, I never wanted a separation. And I've been in many rooms where there are desks and it creates, I think, an other, and it creates a separation and a hierarchy, which I don't subscribe to. Yeah. So no desk for me.
Well, and I love what you say too about Gen Z, Gen Alpha. I mean, the same thing was said when I'm a millennial.
Yep.
So the same thing was said when millennials were coming into the
1000%.
workplace like 12 years ago, which
Yep.
is, they don't have the greatest work ethic. They have too many feelings. They ask for too much feedback. Like, it's very reminiscent. And the thing that I think is that I hope if you're listening to this and you're feeling that feeling of like, there's new people coming into the workplace, it's changing things. I don't know if I like how it's changing. I think the change is inevitable, right?
Yeah.
And so your comment about like meeting people where they're at is really helpful, because it's not necessarily always about what we believe things need to be in the world. Because we don't know.
1001%. That's just going back to, we don't have the answers.
Yeah.
But we can together maybe find it,
Yeah.
right? Or we can find options or some kind of solutions. But at the end of the day, we want what works for you, what's going to fit on your frame, not my frame. I got my frame. I'm good now. So I want to help you find what's going to be the right for you.
Yeah.
I want you to be happy here. I really do. And I want you to thrive, and I want our business to thrive.
Do you believe that happy employees make for a thriving business?
Yes, 1,000%.
I had a hunch you were going to say that.
Well, there's a real ROI, we now know, to kindness and empathy and showing more humanity in the workplace. Like, it's called retention. And right now we need to retain all of our top talent. It's also called word of mouth, recruitment of top talent. Like, I don't know many people that want to go to work and be a robot. I just don't anymore. And so you get the retention, you get the longevity, you get the continuity, of IP, of almost like sharing things via osmosis when you have that kind of loyalty, longevity. Yeah. So I absolutely believe in it.
Okay, are you ready for the speed round?
I am ready.
Okay, so speed round question number 1. What is one thing that you used to hate, but now you love?
Brussels sprouts.
Brussels sprouts?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I wish I could say that's true about myself too, but I don't know. Even when we fry them, I can't seem to get behind them. Okay, good. What is one movie or book that you've either read or seen and it's just completely changed your perspective?
Always Marianne Williamson, Return to Love. Mm-hmm. That is such a fundamental book for me in my life. I enjoy books that give me like, some kind of validation or recognition, or yes, that's what I want. So that book will always be there. Setting the Table, Danny Meyer, is always going to be a good one. And Unreasonable Hospitality, that's come out by Will. It just speaks my language.
That is such a good book.
Such a good book.
I'm going to be honest with you. Every time I'm in New York, I like to go to the original Shake Shack there in Madison Square Park, but I almost always go and I peek inside of the windows that live in Madison Park because I'm not quite at a place where I'm going to go dine there quite yet.
Right, yeah.
But you know what? I love looking in there, just like having read his story. What a beautiful and interesting place where magic becomes reality for so many people.
Well, think of what we do as hospitality. I mean, I certainly do.
Yeah.
I think I've always said to the team, we are in service here. We are building relationships. And we are, as I said earlier, I work for them. Yeah. I work with them. But no one works for me. I don't want that. That's not a thing I want.
Yeah, your team is your customers.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. That's amazing. Speaking of books, tell me about your book.
Oh my goodness gracious. Be Yourself at Work. It really is like the funniest thing, because that was not going to be the title. I wanted it to be something like Showing Up with Your Messy Self. But figured messy wouldn't fly. It is as real as that sentence, which is literally, what is the cost to ourselves when we don't show up as ourselves? Now, I'm not saying you want to wear a clown outfit every day and juggle instead of be on a phone call or the video with, no, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is dipping your toe into some kind of vulnerability, some kind of authenticity, some kind of share. When you're in the elevator and we're all going to 25, why not just say, hey, I work at Vayner too, right? It all starts with self-awareness. Understanding yourself, but also understanding, as I did finally, that I'm the CEO of me. No one else. No one else can move me. And I cannot infiltrate anyone else. I'm not in charge of them. And then once you have that, then it's the emotional regulation. And then it's really, the book, it takes you on a journey of self, then who you are as a teammate, conflict resolution and conflicts and all of that, celebration, appreciation. And then you as you move into a leadership role where you're really co-cultivating the culture. What is your leadership type? What are the archetypes? Where might you feel stress? A lot of stories from my past, 30 years of working probably. And things that I've done that have not been great, and things that I've observed that have not been great. And then things that have really, really worked when people are willing, leaders are willing to show themselves. That's what we need. That's what's going to change the cultures. I think it has to happen from leaders first. I don't think we can expect anyone else to show up if they are being presented with a wall or armor. So it talks a lot about the removal of, the shields that we carry and some great, I would say some really fun tools. Tools, like I would be the last person to write a book with tools in it, swear to God. But
there are a lot of tools in
they're
here,
handy.
though. Yeah. And it feels like they're very easy, having read through.
Yeah.
It's very easy to pick one up and just try it on.
Thank you.
And see how it feels.
Yeah.
And make it your own.
Yeah.
So that it feels authentic to who you are as a person. So highly recommend, if you're watching this, amazing read. On that note, you talk about that's how we create real change. Last question for you. If you could change one thing in the world right now, what would you change?
I obviously want the removal of war and hunger. But if I had a magic wand and I could erase shame from everyone and fill that emptiness with tenderness, I would. The removal of shame and the revolution of tenderness in each of us. That's what I would do.
It's like taking down that shield, not just between people, but also for us within ourselves, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Claude.
Thank you.
I so appreciate you being here with me. If someone wants to learn more about you or get your book or have you come speak at their organization, what is the best way to reach you or to learn more about your work?
Yeah. ClaudeSilver.com. And then the book is beyourselfbook.com. Write me on LinkedIn. I love getting back to people. So just reach out anytime, please.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for this conversation, Claude. It was so great to have you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here today. Such an incredible conversation with Claude. If you want to learn more about Claude, we've linked everything in the show comments, so feel free to take a look in there and reach out to Claude on LinkedIn if you read her book and find things in there that speak to you. She loves to hear from folks. So we so appreciate you being here today. We'll see you on the next episode of Changed.